is the second review on this guitar. I did a really quick review on it earlier, right after I had put it back together. And that one was really just more for some friends of mine so that they could see it. At that time, I had not even dressed the frets or done anything. I just was stringing this guitar up for the first time to play it. So that's been about 2 weeks now. And I've got, well, it's pretty well complete. You know, the frets are all dressed up. The action is set. I didn't make a new nut on it yet, but the nut is good, you know. The height is where I want. The spacing is good and all that stuff. So what startles me about this guitar is really how good it sounds. This is a 1949 D-18, and it has a name. Its name is Splinters. And when I got the story on the other video, but this guitar originally came to me about 15 years ago, maybe, literally in a box of parts. The neck was broken off at the heel. Man, I don't even remember what else it was. 2 or 3 people have worked on it, and it came back to me through a customer who'd purchased it on Reverb.com, not knowing anything about it, you know, or not knowing that I'd worked on it or anything, and then offered it to me because the neck had broken off again during shipping. So I was kind of interested in it to see what I could do with it. When it came back in, I looked inside of it and I realized that I had worked on this guitar previously because there's some of my work in here that's characteristically mine, you know. So I tracked down the history of the guitar, and then I remembered it, you know. As soon as I got a friend that was one of the previous owners, and he reminded me of it, and I remembered immediately then. So it's been strung up now for about 2 weeks, and I had to do a pretty massive rebuilding of the heel right here. You can see the crack in it. It had snapped completely off. So there's about, an inch of the original dovetail right here holding it on, which is not a lot, but as I explained in the other video, and I will try to remember to attach some pictures this time so you can see what's going on. Anyway, I routed in some maple into the dovetail. Put shims in this way and a shim in this way, overlapping, because the stress of the neck is trying to pull the neck this way. So I put pieces in this direction to resist that force. I glued the actual brake with hot hide glue, and it went together really nice. So that alone is usually enough to fix it. But in the case that this neck ever has to come off again, because remember I had no idea where the neck angle was going to be, I went ahead and really fortified that dovetail. So I've got strips of maple running in this way into the heel, and then I have thick, like 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/16. Yeah, probably 1/16 of an inch. They were 90 thousandths, so 3/32. 90 thousandths of an inch thick Brazilian rosewood shims on the dovetail running from front to back. So that I've got shims this way, and then I have a faceplate on the dovetail too. So I've got that neck reinforced every possible way. I strung it up, hasn't budged. The action is not budged. This is the saddle that it came with, and the action is actually a little bit low right now. It's just a hair under 90 thousandths of an inch, but it plays beautifully. I refretted it. I glued the fingerboard back on because it was loose, and when I got it off, I couldn't get it back on. You know, it wouldn't press back down, so I knew something was kind of funny. So I stuck a spatula up under there, and I tried to, you know, clean out any old glue, and that actually made it worse. And when it did, the neck started just the fingerboard just started coming off. So okay, so I took the fingerboard completely off, and I found out that the neck surface was curved this way, and the fingerboard was curved this way. So you know, they weren't going to go back together. So I spent a lot of time getting everything level, flat, clean, glued the fingerboard back on, refretted it in the process. That's what I've done to the guitar. I put a new pickguard on it, which is the correct size. It had previously had an oversized pickguard on it, and I really didn't want to put an oversized pickguard on it. It's funny. I'd rather look at the mark from the previous pickguard than look at an oversized pickguard. And you know, honestly, you got to really look at it to even see that there was another pickguard on there. It blends in so well to the rest of the mesh of the top. This guitar just has got repairs everywhere. You know, it's got, the neck block was cracked, and that's why the neck here was broken. And the cracks are running right here on both sides. They've been repaired, they've been cleated. It's been refinished. The finish is now shattered and cracked, which is typical of refinishes, really, because they tend to go on too thick. But the repairs are holding up good, and that's really the only thing that really matters on a guitar like this. You're never going to restore this. You just want it structurally sound. I know that at one time the back was off, and I know that it's been rebound right here by a friend of mine that did the work, and a really good job here. But you can tell that the binding is different because this is the more modern tortoise as opposed to this really dark, thin tortoise over here. So the binding is just a little thicker down here, which you probably had to do to get a clean edge. But, you know, the back is on beautifully. There's no ridges, edges, anything like that. You can see all kinds of stuff back here. Here's some buckle wears. Had a screw hole right here, probably for a strap button. Cracks here, crack here, all fixed up and everything. It's a battleship, you know. The bridge is not correct. I think that might be my bridge too. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it came to me, if I made the bridge or what the story on the bridge was. The bridge is a little too big, a little oversized, but it's not worth taking it off because I have no idea what's underneath that. And we're just going to leave it alone. I would prefer that it be the regular size bridge, but it's okay. It's got my bridge plate on it. It's got my popsicle brace replacement because it's got cracks running down the fingerboard, which are very stable and I'm not moving right now, so I'm not going to do anything else right in there. So, 49. But what struck me about this guitar was how good it sounded. And I'm going to compare it to a 1939, a D-18 1939 aged authentic, which up to this point has been like my favorite D-18 ever. It's a customer's guitar still here in the shop. And what struck me was how similar the two guitars sounded when the construction is so dissimilar. So they both got T-bars in the neck. You know, they've got the ebony fingerboard and bridge. But that's about it. I mean, they've got high glue construction, but this guitar has non-scallop braces, a Sitka top, and too big of a bridge. Whereas the 39A has got scallop braces and a red spruce top. It's got the T-bar, it's got all the other good stuff. It obviously doesn't have age, but it really struck me as to how similar the two guitars sounded, having such dissimilar construction. The other thing I really like about this guitar is the neck. And you know, if you watch any of my videos, you know how big I am on the neck. And this neck is comfortable. It is really comfortable. It's more comfortable than the 39 because the 39 still has that kind of roundy C-shaped back to it, which is not my favorite neck. I can deal with it, but it's not my favorite. This one has a rounded V, and it's pretty chunky up in here, but it's a nice taper. It's not a big fast taper like that. It's a nice smooth taper. So it does taper, it gets fat up here, but it's a very even, smooth taper. And I really like this neck a lot. I measured it, and amazingly, surprisingly, it's actually a little thinner than a lot of the other necks in the shop. Just by 10,000ths of an inch, not much, but it's not a wide neck at all. It's actually a fairly narrow neck, but it's the heft behind the neck that makes it comfortable for me. Very comfortable. So, okay, so let's compare it to the 39 aged authentic. So here goes the 49 D-18. Well, this is the 39 aged authentic, and I'll tell you what, this is a really outstanding guitar, especially for a new guitar. You know, it's aged, it looks old, but it is a new guitar. Gosh, these are really fabulous guitars. I had the non-aged version of this, the non-aged, non-VTS version, and it's in one of my other videos. Go find the one where I compare it to the D-18 GE. I liked it pretty good. I didn't get along with the neck on it for some reason, because it's a rounder shape. But it's funny because on the aged one, I'm getting along with it better, and it makes me wonder if they changed the shape a little bit or something. I don't know. Maybe it's an individual thing on the authentic, but this neck feels pretty good to me. I could definitely get along with it. It's still a little bit more C-shaped than I would like. I like a little bit more V, but it's all right, you know. This is a really, really nice sounding guitar. Every time I pick it up and play it, it's a customer's, you know, it's got to go home eventually. But every time I pick it up and play it, I think, golly, you know, there's really something to the aged, authentic business. And I know it's because it has a lighter finish on it. It's got a 40%, 50% lighter finish than the standard authentic, which is already a light finish, and so I'm sure that's got something to do with it. But gosh, this is just an outstanding guitar.